Hi. For my scenario this year, I decided to research CAD and 3D printing. My first step was to research what CAD software I wanted to use. I decided that I was going to use Fusion 360, and the reason I chose Fusion 360 was because I figured out that it is mainly for 3D drafting. It focuses on mechanical engineering. You're free to do many things. It does stuff automatically, and you can transfer it to another computer because the files are saved cloud-based. So once I decided what software I was going to use, I needed to figure out how to use it. So if you look at the toolbar up here, there's so many different things you can do. And I discovered that the first step you had to do was to create a sketch or a 2D model of what you wanted to create. So if I create a sketch, I have all these different tools of shapes and things I can do. So if I wanted to create a rectangle, and it could be 5 millimeters, by 5 millimeters. Then I could, if I wanted to create a circle inside of it, I could put a circle right in the middle there. Say I wanted 2.5 millimeters diameter. Then I could create a 3D model out of this. So to do this, you have to use the extrude tool, which pulls something upward. So if I click on that, then I can just extrude it. Say I wanted it just 1 millimeter tall, close enough, and there you go. I also learned how to modify 3D models. Tools like fillet, which is used to round corners. And I also learned that you could combine things, split things, move them. The possibilities are really endless. So now that I learned how to use the software, I wanted to create things and 3D print them out. So the first thing that I designed was an AirPods case. And the reason I designed it was because it was just on the table and I decided I might as well design it. So this is what they looked like. I created a scale model, so this is completely what it looks like in real life. The same shape and everything of the AirPods, and it turned out pretty well. That took me about 2 classes to make, and I used a lot of different tools that I learned at first. So whenever I 3D printed them out, they turned out really well. I did come across an issue with the filament, but I was able to fix it by just switching the colors. So they look pretty exact. The only thing is rectangle in the front, but I think that is because of the way that the 3D printer just prints. The next thing I wanted to do was do a couple of tests. So the test I ran were a support test, which was to see how it would print on things like this, where it would have to print over nothing. So it creates a little grid or lines that can easily be removed so that it can print on a surface still. I also ran tests on settings that I found in my software called brim or raft. And basically what they did was it creates a surface of plastic for the 3D printer to print on so that the model doesn't peel up or curve whenever it's in the middle of printing. So once I ran those tests, I was able to try to design something that moved. I thought that would be cool. So I designed a hinge. So basically, what it did was it had a rotation point, a cylinder, that 2 hinges would rotate upon. And there was a connecting bar that they would be connected to using slots and super glue so that they couldn't move off of the bar. And they would be able to rotate freely upon this point. And this would just be the first prototype. So they actually turned out very well. As you can see here, it rotates very well upon the point. They can't come off because of the bar. So overall, it was a great success. So after I finished 3D printing it, I decided that I wanted to try to implement that into the first project I created, which was the AirPods. So what I did was I actually just made an AirPods case with a hinge that could open up and close. So I created a miniature version of the hinge, with the hinge being connected to the top and the cylinder being connected to the bottom part. And there's room in between the 2 rectangles so it can rotate. I made it a little thicker because I didn't want it to break, and it looked really good. It's able to move just the way I want it. It won't hit anything. So if I rotate on here, this is what it looked like in CAD. Simply able to open and close it all the way. So it turned out pretty well. So whenever I transitioned to 3D printing it, I decided that I needed to print it double the size that I designed it in because of the size of the hinge. Because if the hinge was that small, then it could break, and I just wanted to be safe and make sure that the concept worked. So I printed 4 different parts out and connected them to each other. These two, this is a cylinder that I rotated upon, and this is the bottom of the AirPods case. I glued them together, and this is the top of the AirPods case and the hinge, and I also glued them together. So they can easily come together just by sliding them into one another, and they're able to open and close very easily. So that was a success, and I was actually really pleased with how it turned out because I did not think it would be that smooth, but it worked out really well. So I hope you enjoyed learning about what I've done for my scenario this year in CAD and 3D printing. I really enjoyed it, and it was really one of the highlights of my year this year, especially because we're stuck at home now. So I hope that you guys are all doing well, and thanks for watching.